Hi there, my name is Matthew Schutte and I'm with Holochain. Welcome to the Meetup. Hopefully you guys have already done some intros and things. This is just a short video to set some basic introductions so that not everybody who's hosting a Meetup has to memorize this. A quick intro to Holochain. Holochain is an infrastructure, it's an approach basically, for building and running fully peer-to-peer applications. What that means is that you're able to run applications that are social networks like Facebook or Twitter, or peer-to-peer marketplaces like Airbnb or Uber, without having to put a company in the middle, without having to have a monopoly sitting in the middle, sort of controlling how all of the activity in that community flows. That you're able to actually have the control be held by the participants themselves. How do you do that? Well, you have the participants themselves actually running the application. And so long as they choose to keep running that application, that's the application they get. If those ways of working together stop working for someone, they can choose to run a different application. They can change the code. They can run something entirely different. Simple example, if I was using Twitter and I went, you know what, 140 characters is just not enough for my long-windedness. I want to use something where I can speak in 300 character bursts or 1,000 character bursts. I can choose to start running that. Now I'm going to be doing that only with other people who are choosing to speak that way as well. But this we think is actually really important. It's important not only because it empowers individuals, it's important because it enables communities to adapt far more readily than is possible with today's top-down, centralized structures. Now, these aren't just structures that are problems in the world of web applications. These are structures that are problems everywhere. Almost every organization in the world has what I would describe as a learning disability. It's not that the people are dumb, it's that the structures are dumb. It's that decision-making is centralized, and as a result, that organization has to move as a single unit, left or right. They're not able to choose both. They're not able to have different members within their community go, hey, we want to explore this path. And if it works, wow, we found something there. And if it doesn't, it was only their time and their resources that got wasted. That's different from how we think about organizations today. But you're actually seeing organizations, even the largest organizations today, trying to adopt those principles. They use a bunch of names to describe it, like lean startup or lean manufacturing or agile or scrum. But all of these are mechanisms for actually pushing power down and enabling the participants in a community to learn from the actual lived experiences that they go through. It's a way of distributing power. Now, these are half steps, and they're not bad. But we think that there's something better. By making it so that your members of your community are choosing to share agreements. They're choosing to opt into some mutually held agreement. I have a copy and you have a copy. Just like in a card game. We're choosing to play a card game. I've got a copy of the rules that are living inside of me. And when two pair lands on the table and I see a 3 of a kind in my hand, I know that I've won. I know that this set of cards beats that set of cards, and I also know that you're going to agree. But because we're holding it inside of each of the participants and not external to us with some rule book, we're able to quickly and fluidly change the rules. I can say, hey, this next hand, 2s are wild. And everybody else who's playing can go, okay, sure. Or they might go, no, let's not do that, and we'll have a discussion about it. But whatever we settle on, we will easily be able to try out playing in that new way. For us, we think it's important that we be able to do this not just at card game scale, and not just at village scale, but at all scales. And that's what Holochain is really trying to do. We're trying to enable humans to coordinate in bottom-up, highly adaptive, highly empowering ways, regardless of scale. And we're trying to do this in ways that interconnect different communities, that if I'm choosing to participate in one game, one application over here, and I'm choosing to participate in another game or application over here, that I'm able to speak across both. That things that happen here, I can go, ooh, that's interesting, and share into this other space. That makes the boundaries of organizations far more flexible than we think of them as being today. We think this leads to huge advantages, not only in the world of web apps, but in the world more generally. And we're pretty excited about it. So we're hosting these meetups in an effort to grow our community. We think that the way that you build community is through communication. So some of the things I'm going to encourage you to do today are really around fostering communication. And I'm going to ask for you to do 3 things. These are suggestions, they're not requirements. But I'd love to see maybe 3 different things, and I'll suggest some ways to do it. 1, I'd like to have people be able to share with others, not necessarily with everybody, it may be a big group, right? But to be able to share with others what they are excited about with Holochain. I'd like to have people be able to share with others what it is that they are excited to do, what the projects are that they want to work on, whether they want to develop things, whether they're not a developer at all, but they're a community builder, etc. And I want to create a little bit of space for people to be able to ask for help, to say, hey, this is the project that I'm wanting to work on. Is there anybody who wants to work on it with me? The way that I'd recommend doing this, there's a couple of things. 1, I love breakout groups. I think they're wonderful because they allow us to get very quickly done something that would otherwise take the entire meeting. So whether you're a 6-person group or a 60-person group, I'd suggest you break into little 3-person clusters, and you start by giving each person a minute and asking them, what's exciting about Holochain for you? And in part, this is so that other people who aren't so familiar with Holochain get an intro to Holochain. Then we're going to come back to as a whole group, and I'm just going to ask for a couple of, or the facilitator should ask for a couple of highlights. Hey, what was something really profound that you heard? And we should keep it brief, right? So all in, that should probably take 5 to 7 minutes. Probably 5 minutes for the discussion because you need some slush time. A couple minutes for highlights. Cool, and done. The next one, I would repeat that exact same process, but focused on projects. What is it that you're excited to work on or to do? Again, sharing with just 3 people, probably a different 3 people. Mix it up a little, get to know some new folks. Again, share a couple of highlights. At that point, I would dive into whatever other stuff you want to do, whether you've got a local speaker or people just wanting to ask questions for folks who are more knowledgeable. If you have, I would suggest polling the room and asking how familiar people are with Holochain. Are you somebody who's just heard of it? Are you somebody who's dove in a little bit, but you're not super familiar? Are you somebody who's really poked around quite a bit, but you haven't started actually creating anything? Or are you a builder? And there are various levels, right? These are not the only ways of doing it, but something along those lines. And just show of hands will give people an idea of who to turn to. And then something like a Q&A would be great, where people ask questions and you've got some people who are knowledgeable who can answer. And if there's questions that you have that nobody can answer, share them on our Mattermost. That's our public community chat channel. There's hundreds of folks there sharing ideas and answering questions. And you can find that at chat.holochain.net. Please, I encourage each of you to join that now so that during this meetup you can ask questions and hopefully get them answered. If nothing else, they'll get answered soon after. The last thing I would suggest is actual projects where you're looking to pull in collaborators. And my encouragement would be take a few minutes and have each person write down on a sheet of paper or a card or a post-it note 1 sentence. A 1-sentence description of what it is that they're wanting to do in the world and how they're wanting to create. Then I would give people 15 seconds to pitch their thing. 15 seconds each. Go around the room. And when that's all done, I'd break out into small groups and have people post up, hey, I'm going to be over here, I'm going to be over here, I'm going to be over here. And let others come to you. And just take 5 minutes. And most of what that 5 minutes is going to be is, I'm interested, here's how I might be able to help, Here's my contact information. Get in touch with one another so that you can do that work together going forward. It may be that most of these things don't go very far. It may be that they just result in some interesting conversations. It may be that you launch applications that change the world. But I'd like to see the members of our community starting to communicate with one another about what it is that they're excited to bring into the world so that they can. Again, I'm Matthew Schutte. Welcome to Holochain. And if you have any questions, ping me on Mattermost, chat.holochain.net. I'm at Matthew Joseph, Joseph with an F. Enjoy the rest of the meeting. Bye.